Welcome back to another camera channel. In this video, we're going to be talking about the new Hollyland Lark M2S. Happy New Year, it's 2025 and we are welcoming a new microphone from Hollyland, the Lark M2S. Now we all know Hollyland are very good at making microphones and this is the latest in a long line of products that they've been releasing. What possibly could they do to make this different from the Lark M2? Well, this one is super tiny. Where other microphones of this design usually use magnets to connect, so pretty much all the manufacturers are using magnets to connect a microphone to the person that you're trying to record. This one is different, it's magnetless, and it is a new clip design which allows you to have the microphone, the visible microphone part, very small. Now this comes at a time where we're kind of used to seeing people clipping microphones onto people. A lot of people hate it. Especially when it's the very large square like Rode Wireless Go's and stuff like that. They're huge, very obtrusive, and there's always usually a lot of branding on these microphones, which typically we don't want to see. This new design here is very discreet compared to what we're used to. Now, why would a clip be more beneficial than a magnet? Well, if you've ever tried to give your microphone to someone else, or you have a guest in your video and you give them one of the microphones, they may not realize and they might not think about when they remove the microphone, they may just pull it off and that magnet is gonna fall into their clothes, sometimes losing it forever. So this new clip design fixes that problem because there is nothing to lose inside people's clothes. And it's very good if people are wearing things like shirts or things with collars or hoodies. Anywhere that you can clip this onto, this is going to work very well. However, this isn't going to allow you to place the microphone exactly in the middle unless there is something to clip onto. So that's just one thing to bear in mind. But overall, if you're looking to hide your microphone or have it less visible, this design is very welcome. What's also a very welcome design change is the case. With this case, we can fit the two microphones that we get. There's two transmitters and one receiver, which is this one right here. And this is a 3.5mm jack receiver with a cold shoe attachment. It has a USB out. There's also this dial wheel here that you can control the 3 volume output levels from the device. What's different from the Lark M2 case is we can actually fit this USB-C adapter into the case with the microphones. With the Lark M2, if you remember, there was no space for that adapter, so they kind of just floated around outside. This is why Hollyland give you a bag to hold other accessories like cables and things like that. And with the Lark M2S, you are getting a USB-C to Lightning cable, a 3.5mm TRS cable, USB-A to USB-C cable, and 2 furry windscreens. Now I have some audio tests at the end of the video showing you in a more outside environment with noise, but I'm just going to clip this on now so we can compare in a studio environment what it sounds like. So now we're listening to the Lark M2S, which I've attached just up here. Maybe with the Lark M2, you may be more used to attaching it down here, but this is what I can do with the t-shirt that I'm wearing right now. If I was wearing a shirt or maybe a polo shirt, I would have a little bit more options of where to put it. And also I think you may be able to experiment with placement. Maybe if you're wearing a hat, maybe you could clip it onto the hat, something like that, because that will always be very close to where your mouth is. There are 3 levels of noise cancellation. There is the off mode, there is low mode, and there's high mode. And this is with noise cancellation turned off. And there are some outside sound tests at the end of the video, including a comparison to the Lark M2 as well. So like I said, this is with noise cancellation off. So if we turn it on, this is with low mode turned on. So you can probably hear there's less room tone. My voice should still be pretty clear and it shouldn't be too much distortion, if anything. I would say that the low noise cancellation mode, if you need to use it, is definitely better than the high mode, because sometimes the high mode can be a little bit too strong and start taking things out of your voice, which is not ideal. But I think low mode is good if you are doing any streaming via your phone or your camera and you're not doing any post-production. If you are doing post-production, I would recommend keeping noise cancellation off and then doing your noise reduction in post, because you will get a better result as your editing software has a lot more information to work with. It can look ahead, it can look behind, and it can basically tell better what is background noise and what is your voice. So just something to bear in mind. Now the Lark M2 was lightweight, but this is even less heavy than before. This is only 7 grams, so it weighs pretty much nothing at all.
Nothing at all. Nothing at all. Nothing at all.
Just like the M2 though, it is still a 48 kilohertz 24-bit signal. That might be disappointing for some of you who are wanting 32-bit, as we've seen in some other manufacturers, but that's probably coming in a later product. For now, 24-bit is perfectly fine. And the industry worked with 24-bit for a very, very long time. 32-bit is overkill for most people, especially if you're not editing. If you're just doing live streaming with this and you just plug and play, 32-bit isn't going to do anything for you unless your microphone is auto gaining and doing all that kind of stuff. So 24-bit is perfectly fine. The transmitters and receivers have around 8 hours of battery life, and if you combine that with the charging case, you can get a maximum of 30 hours, which is really good. So if you're out and about and you don't have a chance to charge this, you are safe in the knowledge that you at least have probably a few days of shooting before you need to really charge up the case again. But as the case is charged with a USB-C cable, it is highly unlikely, I would say, that you're not going to be able to charge your case. The units have a stated range of 300 meters, which is just shy of 1,000 feet. But I think it's probably very unlikely, again, that you're going to be using it in that kind of situation. But the option is always there if you need it. There is a little bit of a range test at the end of the video if you want to check that out as well, where we're just in a busy mall. And it works surprisingly well. Definitely further than what I would actually want to use these for. But there you go. You always have the option. Speaking of options, you also get these lovely wind muffs here, these nice fluffy wind muffs, which are going to protect you from the wind. So an uncovered mic sounds like this. But if we just slip on this nice little wind muff, you're going to hear that wind noise is greatly reduced. However, if it's a very strong wind, you're probably still likely to hear it. That being said, I think they are pretty stylish. Nice little wind muff there. Especially if your talent is wearing a coat, I think this is going to blend in very nicely. And because this is a stereo pair, if you use two at the same time, I guess you could do some kind of ASMR kind of recordings with two of these microphones, if that's what you're into. Before we get into the audio tests and the range test, one thing I want to say is, just for your sake, is when you do buy this, is just connect the receivers to your phone first and use the app, because you are going to find that some settings cannot be changed with the physical button. So you're going to want to plug it in to your phone. If you're using the 3.5mm jack, you're going to need a USB-C to USB-C cable. Plug it in and change your settings. Check your settings of what you want, because I already recorded this part of the video once, accidentally in mono. So I was trying to describe the wind sounds and it was completely blowing out both the mics. So this is the second time I've recorded this because I've had to put it in stereo mode. So just check your settings first. Also, noise cancellation, everything in that, by default is set to high. So if you want to switch it to low, like this, by default, everything is set to high. So if you turn on noise cancellation straight out of the box, it's going to be on high, maybe not the result that you want. So just check that first to avoid any disappointment. So without further ado, here are some sound tests and also a range test. If you want to skip them, just use the chapters down below and you can skip to the conclusion. So this is a test of the standard iPhone microphone, the internal microphone, so nothing external plugged in. We record it into the Blackmagic camera app, and I'm at the mall, and there's lots of people around. It's loud, there's dogs occasionally barking, so this will be a good test to see what the noise cancellation results are like, and we're going to compare the inbuilt noise reduction that we hear with the Hollyland mics, and we're also going to test what we can do with Resolve to see if that is actually any better. So this is with the new Lark M2S, which I've got clipped down right here. And this is with noise cancellation turned off. And this is what you can do in the Lark audio app. By default, noise reduction is set to high. But for the first test, I wanted to see what the clean audio signal would be like with no noise reduction at all. And this is what it sounds like. What do you think? And if we now try some of Resolve's noise cancellation, this is what it sounds like. So does this sound good? Is this too strong? What do you think? And this is the Lark M2S with low noise cancellations turned on. And if we can go by any other reviews from the Lark M2, for example, the low setting on noise cancellation is pretty good, and is a pretty good level of what you want. The high level can be too strong sometimes. So this is the low level of noise cancellation. there is music playing in the background. Like I said, there's people below me playing with like Lego and things, and there are people walking around and dogs and everything. So how does this sound like if you were just going to use this as a plug-and-play solution and you were doing a live stream, for example, no post-production, and you wanted noise cancellation? Is this a good level of noise cancellation for you? What do you think? And now we are on the high noise cancellation settings. So this is the maximum noise cancellations that we can do inside the unit itself. What do you think of this? Is it too distorted on my voice? Does it sound like I'm a robot? Is it removing too much of that background noise, or is it trying to? Is it doing a good job? I am speaking kind of loud. I've been trying to speak the same level throughout the 3 recordings I've been doing for this. But what do you think? Is this too much? Generally with high noise cancellation, I found that it definitely cannot do whispering very well. So if I lower my voice and I just start to speak quietly, can you still hear me? Does it sound good? And now if I really whisper, can you even hear what I'm saying? Let's see. And just so we have a good comparison, here's me speaking with low cancellation on in a soft voice and in a whisper. So can you still hear me what I'm saying? Is it too much noise cancellation? Can you even still hear what I'm saying? And can you hear me if I whisper just like this? I'm thinking probably not. What do you think? Now this is with the Lark M2. So this is the previous version, or the different version, the more original version you could call it. And this is with no noise cancellation. So how does this sound? Do you think it sounds better than the Lark M2S? Are there any differences? We're in a very similar environment still. Obviously, I can't control the music that's being played behind me and how many people are walking past, but this is the situation that we're in right now in the mall. So how does it sound? And what does it sound like if we use some of DaVinci Resolve's noise cancellation right now? What does it sound like? Does it sound any different? Does it clear up better? How do we feel about the sound? If you were vlogging and you were doing editing and you were doing noise cancellation in post, would this be a good solution for you? What do you think? So this is the Lark M2 with low noise cancellation turned on. And what I have seen in other reviews previously is that this is actually the best level of noise cancellation. Unfortunately, some of the background music has kind of stopped and it got a bit quieter, but I think you'll probably be able to tell that this is a good level of noise cancellation, I believe. Would this be a good level of noise cancellation for you? Next up, we're going to be trying the high noise cancellation. And finally, this is the Lark M2 with high noise cancellation turned on. Now, I believe from other reviews that this is super, super strong, and I may sound pretty robotic, but I'm not going to know until I get this into the edit. So tell me what you think. Is this too strong? This is quite a loud environment. I'm speaking quite loud. Like I said before, noise cancellation definitely can affect you if you speak in a lower voice or if you whisper. So let's try that out now. So if I speak in a normal voice, if I'm not trying to project my voice over the noise that's around me, how does it sound like? And if I whisper, can you even hear what I'm saying at all? Probably not, but who knows? So, what do you think? So we're gonna do a quick range test, nothing scientific. I'm just gonna walk away and we'll see how long until this mic cuts off. See you later. Okay, I'm walking past some shops. My back is actually turned to the camera and the receiver, so I wonder how long it will be until the mic actually cuts out. We are in a mall and it's relatively not busy, but there's quite a few people around and all the stores are playing different kinds of music, which will be a nightmare for copyright. But I'm gonna keep walking away until at some point this cuts out. But this is obviously not a very realistic situation, because who is gonna be this far away and use a microphone like this? So I'm coming up to this main area now, and I'm gonna turn around and we'll see if it's recording. Now there is no internal recording in the Lark M2S, and there was also no recording in the Lark M2 either. So if it can actually record at this distance, that's very, very impressive. Not that you would ever need to. So I'm gonna come back now. Welcome back. So I think my kind of thoughts on those tests are low noise reduction is definitely good if you're gonna be streaming, but if you have the option to and do your noise reduction in post, obviously off is gonna be better. Your editing software is gonna have a lot more information to work with,
since it can see ahead of time and behind and kind of get that average noise level. One thing that did surprise me is the comparison between the Lark M2 and the M2S is that the M2 just sounded louder straight out of the gate and also a little bit more brighter. So it seemed to have a little bit more top end than the Lark M2S straight out of the box. But as you know, you can always manipulate the EQ to get the sound that you want out of it. I don't really think that this is a bad sounding microphone at all. I think it's quite flat and quite level, which is good because then you can build upon it. The Lark M2 just sounded more bright, had a bit more top end, and that may be what you want. And it also may not be what you want. So, you know, there's two sides of the coin for that. I would say that the only downside is that there's no like EQ adjustable options. So you can't give it a little bit more top end or a bit more low end inside the app or anything like that. Maybe that's a feature that will come in later products. But overall, I think this is a very impressive unit, especially because of the visible side is so small. No one really wants to see branding anymore, right? We don't want to see logos or names of the company that's made the microphones. We want something discreet, something hidden, something that's going to blend in.
So what do you think of the new Lark M2S? Personally, I'm very impressed with the new sleek design, and I really like the new carry case, which you can hold pretty much all the accessories that you need in here. There's still a need for a carry bag. So if there was a way that we could fit more accessories in here, maybe like one charging cable or maybe the TRS cable inside, I think that would be a nice improvement. And I guess the only thing is 32-bit, do we need it? 24-bit is still very good, but we are seeing some manufacturers including 32-bit into their microphones and also internal recording. Obviously this unit is very small, so we can't ask for everything, but maybe that's what's going to be coming in maybe the Lark M3. Maybe we're going to see some recording or maybe 32-bit with that system. So thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're interested in the Lark M2S, check out the links in the description below. Subscribe for more videos just like this. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.